Perspectivism by Maya Robinson, Olivia Ferris, Hunter Wilcox, Hunter Legier, and Safi Said. Good afternoon, class. Today my group and I will be discussing the concept of perspectivism. I will begin by giving our definition of this concept and further explaining what it means by using a real-life comparison. We will then recall what was learned in class, and Hunter W. will talk about Nietzsche's value system on perspectivism. Olivia will then discuss values and the impact it can have on our perspectives. Finally, Hunter and Olivia will enhance your understanding by dissecting the documentary The Act of Killing and extracting 3 key scenes that demonstrate perspectivism. Saif will then provide a wrap-up of what was covered throughout our presentation and will highlight the key elements that were discussed. But before we begin, what exactly is perspectivism? The word itself is composed of 2 parts, perspective and ism. According to the Collins Dictionary, a perspective is a particular way of thinking about something, especially one that is influenced by beliefs or experiences. And synonyms of perspective include outlook or angle. Ism is a distinctive doctrine, cause, or theory. So basically, when we mix these 2 definitions together, perspectivism is just a theory that the way you think about something can be influenced by your beliefs or experiences. In order to help you better understand this concept, I will use a real-life interpretation. The word perspective can be interpreted artistically, and for artists, perspective is all about relativity. When you look at a piece of art up close and are blocking out the rest of the piece, or if you are looking at a painting in a certain orientation, you aren't experiencing the full effect. However, when you pull back and are able to look at the larger picture in a different view, or when you rotate it another way to see a different orientation, your experience of the art will change. And here are a few examples. So in this example, we have enclosed the image on only a certain piece of the art, and we see a man who's walking very proudly and seems to be very proper. So at this moment, our perspective on the painting is pretty simple. It's just that this man is very proud of who he is. However, now when we zoom out and are able to see the entire image, our perspective will change because now we are able to see the little details in the background, like the woman who looks like she is struggling or the slouched man that looks very unhappy. And because of these details, our entire perspective on the image will change, since we are able to see more aspects of the painting that were blocked off earlier on. So in this example, it is a little different since instead of blocking out a piece of the art, we are instead changing the orientation. So each time we are changing the orientation of the image, more details are shown and therefore your perspective will change. And this particular picture can be rotated 4 different times, and you will see that each time we rotate it, we are able to see more aspects of the painting, and therefore more perspectives will be developed. So already when we rotate it one way clockwise, we are able to see pretty much a different image, it looks like, since everything is flopped over, and it just looks like it's creating a new perspective for us. So now for this orientation, it's interesting because for the other 2, I was able to see more of a bedroom type, but now in this one, because of the orientation, I see more of a bathroom. And what was very interesting for me was on the top right, I always perceived that as a cactus, but now in this image, it looks more like a lamp. So that's just an example of how the different orientations can make different images form in your head and therefore contribute to your perspective on the image. So here's my last example, and when this specific image is rotated this way, I'm sure you can agree with me, it looks like it's a rabbit. However, when this exact image is rotated just one way to the right, we see a completely different image, and now it looks like a duck. So all of this just goes to show that depending on the orientation or how much of the painting you are seeing, your perspective and the truth that will come out of your image will be impacted. So this artistic interpretation can also be interpreted in real life as well. Everyone has their own experiences, views, and angles on certain things, which then influences how they perceive and influences their perspectives. As humans, we cannot help but only look at one part of the piece of art or only look at one orientation of the situation. It's what we do every single day. That single part of the whole picture or that orientation of that situation will make us feel a certain type of way, contributing to our values. And because different people have different perspectives, they will all view different parts of the picture. And all these different views and values may puzzle together and contribute to the truth. All the puzzle pieces can be different, since there is no one way of representing the truth. This concept can be related to Nietzsche's value system, which Hunter will be talking about.
Nietzsche has many beliefs, including that the fact that the truth can only be seen from one's perspective, and in order to see more a complete version of the truth, one needs more perspectives. Nietzsche's perspectivism is the theory that any single person's view is among an infinite amount of interpretations. Despite these beliefs, Nietzsche considered his words true and never considered that he himself could be wrong. Most people considered him a hypocrite for this, and the quote here speaks for itself. Nietzsche's values and beliefs. He did not believe in traditional values and rejects religion, especially Christianity. Beliefs there are no absolute values, rules, and there is nothing to rely on. Rejects free will, no such thing as a moral code. Encouraged nihilism. Rejects all religions, moral principles, and life is meaningless, and rejected philosophical reasoning.
Values. And what are values? The definition of values is the principle that helps you decide what is right and what is wrong, and how to act in various situations. What are Nietzsche's values? What is good? Whatever arguments, the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. What is evil? Whatever springs from weakness. What is happiness? The feeling that power increases, that resilience is overcome. Common values of the men shown from the movie The Act of Killing. The killing of communists was justified. These communists were not considered human and did not have the rights of one. Nietzsche's values/beliefs. Nietzsche did not believe in traditional values and reject religion, all religions, including Christianity, which is the biggest one. He believes there are no absolute values, rules, and there is nothing above to rely on. He means when he says nothing to rely on, that there is no religion to rely on. There is no higher power that will save you. He also rejects free will and that there is no such thing as a moral code. He encourages nihilism, which is the rejection of all religions, moral principles, and that life is meaningless. He also rejects philosophy and reasoning.
We will now enter the part of our presentation where we talk about the documentary The Act of Killing.
The movie The Act of Killing is about individuals who were included in the Indonesian mass killing in the late 1900s. This genocide went on until almost 1 million individuals were murdered. It also showcases the aftermath of the mass executions in 1965 to 1966.
After watching this film, our group was able to find 3 different examples of perspectivism that was shown throughout the film. We will now be discussing these 3 different examples. So for our first example, although it is not explicitly shown, we are able to identify the fact that the director himself had a specific perspective while creating the movie. Oppenheimer gives off an impression that he stands against these murders and supports the idea that these men should be imprisoned or at least punished for the crimes shown through the collection of clips that show the horrible things that have been done. There's a specific clip in the movie where Anwar, who is the main character of the film, speaks about how he feels very bad for what's been happening, and he said that he did not mean for it to look this bad on camera, and this kind of enhances the idea that Oppenheimer's perspective was shown. However, it wasn't completely obvious for every single viewer, since he did not say anything directly in the camera. He just chose certain clips, which led people to have a certain perspective on the film.
Yang saya kasihan tadi Saya terus terang, saya rasa ada rasa saya kok sampai begini. Yang saya harapkan tadi tidak sampai begini kali. Memang ada yang minta abang harus lebih sadis lagi. Tapi mata saya ngelihat ke ibu dengan ke anak. Kita bayangin ke depan anak itu bagaimana. Dia telah disiksa, di mana rumahnya dibakar. Masa depan anak-anak itu macam mana mereka? Dia akan mengutuk seumur hidup. Ini pekerjaan yang sangat.
Example 2. Many values were shown in the movie The Act of Killing. One example that was shown was when Anwar Congo was demonstrating the way he was murdering people. And after that clip, he went on to say the only times he felt good or happy was when he was drinking or drunk or high. The reason being is that he went against his internal moral code without realizing it. His nightmares were reminders of what he had done and the values he had broken to himself.
Jadi saya menghilangkan itu, saya usahakan dengan musik enak, saya bisa nari, iya kan, bisa happy, sedikit alkohol, ya kan, sedikit marijuana, sedikit inex, ekstasi, sudah siap minum fly, kita pun happy tuh, caca.
Our last example from the movie is that from the murderer's perspective, what they were doing was right and justified, and that to us and the director, who have different customs and come from a different part of the world, what they did was just genocide and should be punished, and as well as feel remorse for what they did. There was an image circulating the internet quite a few years ago of a dress that some people perceived to be black and blue, while others perceived it to be white and gold. Even though they were looking at the exact same picture, they saw different colors. Or, in the movie's case, they had different ideologies and viewpoints in regards to the same thing that happened, which in this case was the genocide.
Bukan maksud saya membuat keadaan tidak nyaman, tapi saya ingin kembali ke pernyataan Bapak. Dengan alasan perang, Bapak tidak dihantui seperti Anwar, tapi Konvensi Jenewa tetap menganggap yang Bapak lakukan sebagai kejahatan perang.
Belum tentu kita sependapat sama pengadilan internasional itu seperti yang saya katakan tadi. Bush waktu kuasa, Guantanamo benar. Saddam Hussein bikin pembunuh massal, senjata pemusnah massal. Itu kebenarannya Bush. Kebenaran itu ternyata tidak benar. Jadi bisa jadi itu Konvensi Jenewa juga kebenaran waktu sekarang Konvensi Jenewa. Besok ada Konvensi Jakarta. Itu Jenewa punya kita buang. Itu definisi kejahatan perang. Itu buatan orang yang menang. Saya pemenang. Saya mesti bikin juga definisi kejahatan perang.
At last, no perspective is more correct than any other perspective. Angles and views can perceive perspectives. The eye is the source of what is going to be portrayed. No perspective is more superior than any other. Many can be distorting, but they will never be precise. Perspectives are crucial in the actions that will be decided, as they illustrate what will commence after. As shown throughout this presentation, perspectivism primarily relies on an individual's personal experiences and beliefs.